Welcome back, dear rebels, to the Sword and the Ring, a place for all sorts of lore with a special focus on a galaxy far, far away, Alagasia, Hogwarts, and Middle-earth. Today, we continue our episodic look into the celestial bodies across the known galaxy around the time of the Star Wars. This information is the latest I could get from the Jedi archives and a few holocrons, so let me know if you have more updated info down in the comments. When we left Tatooine last, we discovered the native populations of Tusken Raiders and Jawas and how their lives changed with the prosperity of the moisture evaporator farms of the off-world colonists. We touched on the rampant scum and villainy in Mos Espa and Isley. So, let's dive a little deeper into these guys this time. We start at the palace of one of the most successful gangsters in the galaxy, His Excellency Jabba Deslajik Tior of Nal Hutta, Eminence of Tatooine. Yeah, go ahead, say that 5 times fast. Is the preeminent crime lord on Tatooine and one of the most powerful individuals in the Outer Rim. His rise to power included a desperate search for his son, Rhoda, during the Clone Wars. He eventually sided with the Republic and then aided the Empire in exchange for being left alone to peddle the Hutt's business. This business included all forms of smuggling, slavery, and piracy. The Hutt controlled hyperspace lands all across the Outer Rim and collected harsh taxes from the moisture farmers on Tatooine. Thus, in his success, he was able to build his palace and a rowdy following of bounty hunters, smugglers, and pirates. When one little smuggler thought he could get away with not repaying Jabba, the Hutt crime lord put a bounty so high on his head that one of the most notorious bounty hunters of all time jumped at the chance to collect. He arranged for the smuggler to be transported back to Tatooine, and then Jabba had him displayed as a decoration in his throne room. The smuggler turned rebel was, unfortunately for Jabba, the good friend of a Jedi Knight who didn't have the same interior designer eye as the Great Hutt. During the ensuing rescue attempt, Han, Chewbacca, and Leia were captured, and Luke was forced to kill a very hungry Rancor by tossing a skull at the door controls. Seriously, it's not a stone he throws at the door. It's a skull. However, despite surviving the day's entertainment, and possibly because he forced us to watch one of the most ugly cry scenes of all time and galaxies, Luke was captured and sentenced to death with Han and Chewie. That brings us to the Great Pit of Carkoon, or the Sarlacc Pit. This Sarlacc had grown for thousands of years, and, if we're to believe C-3PO, would have the remains of the unlucky prisoners digesting inside itself for thousands more years. Of course, Luke wasn't having that and had organized an escape with the aid of Leia, R2-D2, and Lando Calrissian. In the rescue, Leia not only strangled the great crime lord to death, but also helped blow up his party yacht. Now, we have a quick detour on Dagobah one last time. As you might recall, the swamp jungle planet of Dagobah was home to the exiled Jedi Master Yoda, as well as the virgins in the Force in the Cave of Evil. After Luke had previously abandoned his training early, the Jedi Knight returned to complete his training, as he had promised Yoda. Unfortunately, Yoda at this point is on the verge of death himself, but he does pass on some vital information just before. Luke, when gone am I, the last of the Jedi you will be. Luke, the Force runs strong in your family. Pass on what you have learned. Luke, there is another Skywalker. Thus, the great Jedi Master passed on and became one with the Force. Before Luke leaves, the Force ghost of Obi-Wan visits him and informs him about his sister. This information is vital to Luke as he attempts to turn his father back from the dark side. Now we make our way to the Forest Moon of Endor, and it's our last stop on this stretch of the Atlas. The moon is covered in dense woodland with many mountains and vast savannas. These were home to many sentient creatures, including the Duloc, Yuzum, and most notably, the Ewoks. Unfortunately for the little teddy bear-like creatures, they were not only cuddly to look at, but apparently tasted rather good in jerky form. This was the main reason raiders ever visited the otherwise abandoned moon. Unlike other remote celestial bodies we've examined before, Endor was the site of a hidden Imperial base when the Emperor required a shield generator complex for the not yet completed second Death Star. The forming of this base was made possible by Imperials raising an Ewok village. For some reason thereafter, the Imperial-Ewok relationship was strained. Other bases were also established across the moon for various Imperial projects, but we'll stick with the shield generator for now. When the rebels sneak onto the moon via Imperial transport, they end up making friends with the Ewok population with a little help from the godly power of C-3PO. This alliance quickly paid off as the Ewoks aided the rebels in their infiltration of the shield generator and the ensuing moonside of the Battle of Endor. Aided by their primitive technology, the battle was won and the Empire, Emperor and all, collapsed. The Alliance set up tractor beams and shields to protect the Forest Moon from the detritus of the destroyed second Death Star, but the moon would otherwise remain mostly unaffected by the outside galaxy from then on, with one notable exception. The Ewok Civil War was a brutal conflict over who would lead the Ewoks sometime after the Battle of Endor. Newly minted diplomat of the New Republic, C-3PO, was sent to the moon by Leia Organa to help resolve the conflict. Alright, thanks for coming along on this trip across the galaxy. Next time on the Atlas, we'll look into the past for some new insights. May the Force be with you and your spirit. I'll be with you next time on The Sword and the Ring.